Let me talk about something that plagues a lot of young people, and that's the fact is that I've seen that they are so dumb in money management. One thing I've noticed is that dumb money are flashy. They are very, very flashy because they are young. They've not been told what really wealth is all about. So when they come in contact with money, the first thing, the best way they showcase it is by buying flashy stuff, you know, buying depreciating liabilities like cars. A car is a depreciating liability. Anything that does not put money in your pocket, it's a liability, including friends and families. And the first they go for flashy stuff, and is though once I see someone showing flashy stuff, I know they already knew dumb money, you know. And the first thing that someone should think about is saving. Once they get money, they think about, okay, let me save. And saving is good for the mid time and for the short time, but for the long time you start factoring in inflation. What is inflation? That's your money is less than it used to worth, and you can buy less than what you could buy with the money. So if you are considering to save, you could save for the short time and the mid time to invest. But if you're considering saving for the long time, over 20, 30 years, inflation will eat deep on it. And that's a factor you need to put into consideration. So, um, on the fastest way I found out to build wealth is to have a skill, a commercial demand, a commercial skill that is on high demand. When you have a skill that is on high demand, such as carpentry skill, a cybersecurity analyst, um, or as electrician, electrical skills, you are always, your skill set is always in demand, because people always use electricity, people always need a carpenter to do their job, people always need a cyber security analyst, for cyber theft. So these are some of the skills, and I feel that people really need to have to blend in. The illusion is that we've been taught that these skills are dumb. People who are into these skills are old fashioned. These are not the skills that the new generation are supposed to be concerned about, and that's an illusion, because skills that are on high demand can always put food on your table on continuous basis. Do you get my point? Okay. I remember when I was growing up, we learnt a lot of skills, electrical skills, plumbing, how to plaster, buildings, and fix a lot of generator electrical stuff. These skills, we had more than 3 to 5 skills sets, we could bank on as outside our academical degrees. So that made us, we are balanced in the society. But in this generation do not have that advantage, or that inquisitiveness to go for these skills that will make them balance in the society. And that makes them, when things goes south, goes out, goes off, they cannot blend effectively. In this modern generation, at least you need an online skill. You need an online skill to survive in this generation. You may not need it to survive wholly, but if you are under 30 years, you need one online skill and one offline skill. It's very, very vital. At least one, you need an online skill. You could gather other offline skills if you want. But what do I mean by online skill? Online skill like security analyst, trading, and all, internet marketing, and all that. That's a very good skill to have as a young person below 30. And offline skill such as auto mechanic and plumbing, carpentry skills. These are necessary skills that people who are below 30 are supposed to have, so that it will make you balance in a society that will live. Okay. Some mistakes young people make is to assume because I'm young, I can play football, I have athletic skill, and you forget that what about when you retire from football? What's the next thing to do? After your career as an athletic personnel or as an athletic person, as a sportsman or a sportswoman or as a footballer, a tennis player, whatever it is, what's the next thing you do? And you will find that most of the people who we are very, very famous as athletic or sportsmen and all that, once they retire, they ruin their lives because there is nothing more to hold their life all together. Do you understand? So I don't want to mention names, but we have multiple examples out there that after they retire from football and all that, their lives became miserable. Now why? Because there was nothing that holds them all together. And as a young person, you assume that okay, if I'm a footballer, then what about when you have injury and you can't play? And what about when the doctor says you have a heart problem, you can't play? Just such as I think it was Ericsson or so. He's a footballer. He had a problem like that. So once you encounter situations like that, you are bound not to participate in what the skills you have as an athletic personnel. You will be confined to something else. So what is the next thing that you'll be doing when you have that kind of situation? Okay, I think they assume that because they are young, that the real skill is their young athletic body. But people grow old. You and I will grow old someday, and because we grow old, we need to factor in circumstances that will arise that will make us have substitute options. Okay, and let me tell you a real life story. There is this story of a guy. He's a an African immigrant. So his father was an auto mechanic. So he does help his father to do the job. So he had an opportunity. He also plays football. So he had an opportunity to go to China, for trial to check if they will sign him up. So he went to China, and when he went there, it didn't work out as planned. So he was waiting for his agent to sort out other means to, add him up to other teams. And one day he was walking along the road, he saw a lady, her car was broke down, and he approached the lady, and there was a language barrier. So fortunately, the lady could speak English. So he asked the lady, "What's wrong with your car?" The lady said the car broke down. So he went to the car, fixed it up, told the lady to check it out. The lady checked it out. The car came back to life, and the guy told the lady, I'm a black immigrant. I just came. This is my situation. If you have any job, I will really be glad to do it. So the lady gave him her card and told him to call her back in 3 days time. So after 3 days time, he called the lady. The lady told him, "I would like you to be my personal auto mechanic." Can you imagine that? Now, let me ask you, what if he never paid attention to the father when the father was doing and said, "This is for old people, I don't care." What do you think would have happened? Because he had an alternative option, it gave him a beef up. That was the beginning of his life and all that. So you need to have an alternative option in life, that when things go south, this is the plan B that you switch on to. Do you get my point? Okay, we have two economy. One is old economy, where they tell people go to school, get a job, retire, and go on pension. That's the old economy. The new economy now is entrepreneurship. That's the new economy. The new economy now is entrepreneurship. And now, what do we mean by entrepreneurship? What do you think entrepreneurship is based on? Entrepreneurship is based on skill set, what you can do very well, and you maximize it and become a capitalist. Entrepreneurship is based on skill set. You know, have you imagined that most of the entrepreneurs that we have in the world are people who have good skill set? They know how to do some things, and they do it very, very well, exceptionally, that people pay them to offer those services and those products to them. Why? Because this is the new economy. The new economy is based on entrepreneurial mindset, not going to school, get a job, get pension, and retire. Now, do you know the funniest thing? The funniest thing is that the the world is still dependent on the old economy and gradually shifting to the new economy. The old economy is dependent on going to school, keeping people dumb. You have to follow this route. This is the path. But that path has failed all of us. Education has not failed actually, but the part of the old economy has failed us, because you can't tell me that going to school and getting a job and retiring and hoping for pension will sustain me for a lifetime. That's a big lie, a very big lie. Okay. And okay, let me give you an example. What if we have two boys? Just imagine that we have two kids, and let's say they're in their 20s, and one goes to college or university for 5 years, and one goes to learn a skill set. After 5 years, who do you think will beat life faster? Who do you think will be ahead in the next 5 to 6 years? I guarantee you it will be the guy who goes to learn the skill, because by 5 6 years he's thinking about opening his own. He's thinking about running his own business. But the guy who went to school, or the kid who went to school, who has college, who has degree, is thinking about getting a job, getting paid, and living on salary. And how long will you live? How with this, with the rate of inflation, you cannot live on salary alone. You need a substitute job, a substitute means of income to survive in this economy. And your life and your destiny is dependent on the hands of someone who could wake up one day and fire you, or decide that your job is terminated. So that's a very, very bad way of, well, to others, I think maybe some people like it, but for me, that's a horrible way to wake up in the morning, because you'll be licking someone else. Okay, and just like I say, that everyone needs at least an online skill and offline skill to survive in this new economy. Everybody, if you are below 30 35 years, you need an offline skill and online skill to survive in this current generation. Okay, the world is still benefiting from the system, from the old system, and that's why they cannot just let it go. The world is benefiting from the kids going to school, assuming that after going to school I have degree is just a paper. The degree is just a paper. The validity of your degree is dependent on someone's evaluation of what it is, because your degree in China is different from someone's degree in Uruguay or in France. Your evaluation, the evaluation of your degree is dependent on the mercy or on the analysis of each country you go to. I don't know if you understand my point. Okay, let me give you an example of my story. I left my home country. I came to a different country. I had 2 degrees then, and I went to a different country. Within 3 weeks, I went to the new country. My bag was stolen. I woke up in the morning, my bag was stolen. My bag wasn't there anymore. And my degrees and all that were in the bag, and it was all gone. And I had to survive. I had to survive. Am I better off when I had those degrees than now? No, 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 no. I had to survive. So I had skills that helped me survive. Now, what am I saying this? I'm better off now the degree was stolen than when I had it, because the degree would have given me an illusion that I had something meaningful and valuable that I would bank on, than depending on a means to survive. In the street or in the world out there is wide and weird. You need skills that will help you survive in life. So I'm better off now that those degrees were stolen. No, I still have them. I still know what I read. But to be honest with you, I had skills that could substantiate those degrees and made me, survive effectively. So just like I said, I will encourage every person to have at least an online skill that will help you survive in this new economy, and to have an offline skill in case you're planning, you're having plan A and plan B, because anything can go south. Nobody thought about COVID-19. Nobody thought about it. There was lockdown for close to 7 months. Okay, imagine if you had an online skill. That would have been a very big beef up. It will help you. You wouldn't be affected that much by the COVID lockdown. So I will encourage everybody to have at least an online skill, an offline skill. I'm not against going to school. I went to school, but going to school is the old economy. It cannot sustain this it cannot sustain us in this new economy. So we need a different mindset to think differently to survive in this new economy, because this economy is based on skill set and entrepreneurship. And if you are still depending your life on going to school and getting a degree, you will be fired. I guarantee you that. Okay, Bill Gates is a school dropout. Mark Zuckerberg, he's a dropout, but because they have online skills, they employ people who have degrees and all that, and the jobs of people who have degrees are dependent on them. They can wake up one day and say you are fired, and there you go. So I want you to think about this. Think about the realities that we face now. Do not say because I'm young, I cannot learn these skills. No. Or do not say because I'm old, I cannot start. There is no timeline in starting up. So we have the responsibilities to make our lives better, and it's dependent on how we choose to do it. I hope this video helps you to become a better person. Until next time, I bounce.